Call on Government Order of the Day number 8.
Ngati Whatua o Kaipara Claim Settlement Bill, third reading.
Honourable Peter Sharples.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Ngati Whatua o Kaipara Claim Settlement Bill be now read a third time. Tuatahi, tēnā koutou. He rā nui tēnei mō tātou katoa, ngā Māori katoa Aotearoa, a nā reira koutou, Ngati Whatua Kaipara nau mai whakapiri mai. Tēnā koe e doc, tō kaha ki ta hara mai i tēnī rangi. Tēnā koe hā ngā mihi nui ki a koe. Neira koutou katoa e tai mai nei i tēnī rā, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Ko e tahi kariko nei hare, kua hinga rātou, kua tukuna atu. Nā reira, kei te mihi tonu ki a rātou ngā mate ko pā ki a tātou i enei rangi, i enei tau kua pahure ake. Kei roto i a tātou whakaaro ngā wā katoa. Nā reira, ko parikura tētahi, hi koe i wainga nui a koutou, kua tukuna atu ki te kaihanga i te rangi. Ana ko higa mai te tahi o tainui i tēnei rā, ara ko te tama, te tahi o ngā tamariki a Tom Moana, a te ahi nei ka haere tonu tūpāpaku ki hora hora marae, ki roto o tainui. Nā reira ngā mihi, ngā tangi ki a rātou ko ngaro atu, haere koutou oki oki pai mai. Engari ki a koutou, ko tai mai, Ngati Whatua ki ora ki a Kaipara whānui, hari koa taku ngāku. Kia ora neira. Ngati Whatua o Kaipara. Ngā tamariki mokopuna o Haranui. Reweti. Kakanui. Ara wharera. Me puatahi marae. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ngā nui ngā mihi ki a koutou i tēnei rangi, kua hara mai nei i tēnei rā, mai te heku o tō tātou ika a Māui. I'd like to acknowledge all those who made claims on behalf of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara and began this journey. I would also like to pause to remember and pay tribute to those who began the journey but are no longer with us. In particular, te rā rangatira sa Hugh, Kāwharu, me rātu. Moi mai koutou ngā rangatira, moi mai rā. Mr. Speaker, we're here today to complete our consideration of a bill to resolve an injustice that began 169 years ago. It has been a long and arduous journey to get to this point. This bill settles the treaty claims of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara by giving effect to the deed of settlement that Ngati Whatua o Kaipara have negotiated with the Crown. This bill includes the Crown's acknowledgements that it breached the Treaty of Waitangi and apologises for those breaches and their consequences. This bill also provides for cultural, financial and commercial redress in compensation for these breaches. He honore māku ki te whānui hia e nei kaupapa, nā te mea nā Minister Finlayson tēnei pire, engari ko homai tēnei honore ki au, nā te mea kei te noho tahi tātou i tāmaki, tēnā koutou. In 1992, Ngati Whatua o Kaipara claim Y312 was lodged in the Waitangi Tribunal with hearings in 1999 through to 2001. Negotiations began in 2002, but little progress was made until serious discussions began in 2008 with Sir Michael Cullen. Then he was Minister in charge of Treaty of Waitangi negotiations. It was not until December 2009 that an agreement in principle was signed. Then finally, September 2011, Ngati Whatua o Kaipara signed their deed of settlement. So 21 years later, we mark a significant milestone for Ngati Whatua o Kaipara as I move the third and final reading of their settlement bill. This bill will settle the grievances arising from the Crown's persuasive and unrelenting land buying policies that began with the purchase of large tracts of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara land, bordering on the Upper Waitemata in 1844. The Native Land Court exacerbated land loss by individualizing titles, so that by 1900, and within a single generation, Ngati Whatua had lost 90% of their lands in southern Kaipara. The 10% of lands left for Ngati Whatua o Kaipara was fragmented, was uneconomic, and hard to live off. So, Mr. Speaker, this land loss also meant that the right of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara to uphold their own mana motuhake, to exercise their own rangatiratanga, this right was denied. But, Mr. Speaker, the people of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara survived, and while it has been a long journey, they are here in this house today, pumping, seeking justice, and taking ownership of their own destiny. Some are also here in spirit. An injustice that began in 1844 with the Crown takeover of vast tracts of lands in the Upper Waitemata will soon be addressed by this Parliament, the people of Ngati Whatua and the people of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara. All those things the families of Haranui, Rewiti, Kakanui, Araparera and Puatahi have lost due to the actions of the Crown can never be totally restored. And yet today, Ngati Whatua o Kaipara seek to settle their grievances with the Crown. We need to recognize that. In coming to this agreement to resolve past grievances, we honor all of our ancestors. Importantly, we also honor our descendants, and we plan for the future. I stand to acknowledge Ngati Whatua o Kaipara, whose tenacity and leadership will soon see settlement for the hapu and marae of southern Kaipara. I commend the trustees of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara Claims Committee, trustees of Ngā Maunga Whakahi o Kaipara Development Trust, for their passion and commitment. They have shown incredible leadership by working alongside other iwi and hapu of Kaipara, Tāmaki Makaurau and Tāmaki Makaurau, and Hauraki. The support of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara people for the settlement negotiated on their behalf is clear. 2 ratification processes held in August 2010 and August 2011 returned approval rates of 96% and 92% respectively. Amazing. Mr. Speaker, the treaty settlement journey for Ngati Whatua o Kaipara has taken over 21 years. And although it is not possible to provide full restitution to Ngati Whatua o Kaipara for the losses suffered, the settlement redress provided for in this bill seeks to recognise the seriousness of their grievances and build a positive foundation for the future generations of Ngati Whatua o Kaipara. And the Honourable Tau Henare made this point in the last settlement speech, that perhaps New Zealand leads the world in terms of actually trying to do something to reconciliation with their indigenous people. We look at what's happening in America and other places. There's still signs up saying that treacherous Indian sitting bull and things like this. We've moved forward, and it's really good to see. So it's not just a mere apology. At least there is some real effort to embrace what happened in the past and own it and make some sort of recompense for that. So we're really happy to be part of this process today. The legislation before us is much more than a new law. It is a history of a people, and it is the future of a people. What was taken from these families can never be replaced. 90% of the ancestral lands can never be replaced, and yet here they are, willing to settle with the Crown. I acknowledge the sacrifice, pain and justice. I thank Ngati Whatua o Kaipara for their leadership, generosity and mana, without which we wouldn't be here today. I believe this settlement will support the healing of the relationship between Ngati Whatua o Kaipara and the Crown, and I hope that the apology, which forms part of the settlement, will also assist with the healing. Ngati Whatua o Kaipara acknowledges that the Crown's apology represents its commitment to build a positive relationship with them and to honour its obligation under the treaty for the good of this and future generations. This bill acknowledges Ngati Whatua Kaipara's relationship with their whenua. As part of this acknowledgement, 9 reserves and conservation sites of significance will be transferred to Ngati Whatua Kaipara as cultural redress. These sites include Atua Nui Scenic Reserve, Maire Tahi Landing, Mawinyu Island, Moturemu Island, Tīpare, Makarau, Makarau Bridge Reserve, Parakai, and 10-acre block recreation reserve. This settlement will be a key step in allowing the iwi to move forward economically and culturally. The 22.1 million plus interest through their settlement and financial redress, including the transfer of Woodhill Forest, will provide Ngati Whatua Kaipara with an ability to focus on and develop their future. Mr. Speaker, I am very proud to stand and support this bill. Ngati Whatua Kaipara, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, kērawa.
Question is that the motion be agreed to. Rino Tirakatini.